What's up everyone? It's been a while. So I think the last video I made was pretty much the I've finished radiotherapy one, second to last week of January. So it's been a while. It's been almost a month. Today I had my appointment for starting my chemo, which I haven't actually started. We'll get onto that in a bit. So I just thought I'd give you a bit of an update on what's been going on in the meantime. So nothing treatment wise since radio finished. Everything has been going relatively smoothly as far as managing things and symptoms. There hasn't really been anything. The only minor change since I last did an update is I've made some, I've made some tweaks. I'm sort of experimented a little bit with my diet to see how much that actually is having an effect, and it turns out it's quite a lot. So I'll get onto that again in a bit, but it's sort of events that have happened in the meantime. So I finished my PT sessions that were funded through Paul. They were all going really well. Jack had put me in a really good position to be able to get back to the gym, my normal gym. So on the 4th of Feb, I joined in on a fundraising event they were doing to, I did something to do with the defibrillator that's on the wall outside the gym. And essentially it was 6 straight hours of cardio. I only did 4 of the hours because we had to nip into a hall to do something first, and then we went in and so it was, teams of 6. So you'd do a minute and then, or 30 seconds or something, and then you'd have 5 intervals off and then go again. So it was sort of lots of intervals of sprints, but that went quite well. Didn't feel anything adverse as a result of that. That all was fine. Throw a little clip in here of the atmosphere. It was a really good event. Hopefully we can rekindle some of that for the fundraising event that I'm planning to do in August, which again I'll come on to later. Right now we're in the Open. CrossFit Open has now started, so I did the 23.1 on Friday. Pretty pleased with how that went. I did have to scale it because of my grip. I can't hold onto the bar for toes to bar or pull-ups, I also probably couldn't do a muscle up now if I tried. I have done them in the past, but definitely can't do one now. But there you go. So yeah, that's happened. I'll throw a little clip in here. So in terms of the diet, I mentioned I've been messing around a little bit, so I've not really been sticking to keto and the low carb. I've introduced a few carbs again, eaten a few biscuits and bits of chocolate and things like that, just to see if it was really having an effect. So once the radio had finished and all the side effects of that had calmed down, I thought, well, this is a good opportunity to see if that was actually really having an effect or not. And as it turns out, it definitely is. So my thing, which when I don't eat sugar or carbs, my thing in my hand and my face, it just doesn't come on really ever, whereas when I do eat carbs it comes on at least once a day. Especially at the moment, actually we've got into a bit of a pattern with the baby where I get up, or tend to get up about 6ish, and then I'm up, but for the first sort of 10 or 15 minutes I can't really feel properly. So the first change straight out of bed, I'm kind of messing with his poppers and changing his nappy without really being able to feel what I'm doing properly, and I've struggled to get the the sort of the little, well, it's not Velcro, is it? Whatever, the little sticky pads on the nappy open so that I can close it back up. But yeah, so the plan is, now that I'm starting chemo, I'm going to try and cut all the carbs back out and go back to just, meat and veg essentially. A few nuts here and there. So yeah, go back to, no biscuits, no chocolate, no nothing, none of that. Get rid of all that. The other side of that as well is that I haven't gained any weight, but I've sort of plateaued. The weight loss that was happening, I've sort of, just come to sort of steady weight now for the last couple of weeks while I've been doing this sort of experiment. Because part of it was also, I didn't want to log anything anymore. I hate logging. But as it turns out, I can't reliably predict my own calories without logging. So, and at least I know that now. What else has happened? So the other thing that's going on between treatments is, because I was available every day and sat around the house essentially, the need for me to have something to do and to go back to work started coming on. So I've spoken to work. I've actually been to a meeting in London already. So not a week just gone, the week before. There was a team meeting in London. The guy who's in charge of us from Australia is currently over in the UK, and he was running a team meeting. And it was a really good opportunity for me to get back in and, catch up on everything, catch up with all the guys in one go, rather than having to try and phone them each individually and faff around figuring out where we're up to and all that in the year. So that all went really well. Also got to catch up with one of my friends, Jen, in London while I was there, which was really nice. In terms of the actual full proper return to work though, I can't start again proper until an occupational therapist has been and checked this room. So this is the same room that I've been speaking to you before, except it's now blue. I've decorated, so that's something I've been doing as well. It's not finished. The plan is to have shelves and that behind me here, and there's 2 bits of furniture either side of me are not staying. They're either go in the tip or on Facebook Marketplace or something. I haven't figured that bit out yet. But the desk and this sofa is going to stay. And then the plan is, as I say, to get to IKEA at some point over the next week and buy furniture that matches the desk and everything. Get the OT here on Thursday morning. Find out what it is I need to do to the desk, whether I need to raise the screen up or I don't know whether I need a standing desk or a proper chair or what. The suspicion from my boss is that I probably need a proper chair, because the office chair I've got is not really a proper office chair. It's it's an IKEA special from, oh god, we've had that for, I don't know, 8-9 years now, since our very first flat together. And yeah, it's not really a proper chair. It does the job, but it's not a proper office chair. It's not adjustable in all the ways you would want it to be. So hopefully the OT will tell us what we need to do, and then I can adjust my work setup accordingly and make sure that I'm doing everything properly. So in terms of an update, I think that's kind of where I'm up to. So return to work proper. I imagine I'll be back working, kind of turning the machine on at a relatively normal time each morning as of next week. I've been doing bits and bobs, but there's only so much I can do at the moment until this OT has been and said that my work setup is okay. So chemo update. So I had an appointment this morning where they explain, they basically go through everything and make sure that I'm fully au fait with all the drugs I'm taking, how to take them, what I need to do that's different, special hygiene measures, all that sort of stuff. So I'll go through all that. Got given a little pack of stuff, and I also get to carry around this Super Cool Kid card now that I've put in the back of my phone case. So if at any point I have a problem, I have to 24-hour contact service that I have to get in touch with. Make sure that I tell them, essentially what's happening here for the next year is I'm going through a cycle of being poisoned over and over again. So that's they've got to be really careful about any side effects and so on. So I've got these drugs. So I've not taken them yet because I take it with my evening meal tonight. So you probably can't see. I don't want to get them out because they've put them in this brown bottle for a reason. There's a label there. Basically, it just says it's toxic. Don't mess with. Don't touch. Take care. So I don't really want to touch them until I'm actually going to take them. But essentially, there are 5 fairly sort of normal paracetamol-y sort of size looking capsules in there, and that's the lamostine. So not really sure what that does. I think for the most part all 3 of the drugs that I'm taking interfere with the way that the tumour cells reproduce in one pathway or another. So I take this one, then nothing happens for the next week. I do have anti-sickness medication to go with this because it's likely to make me feel sick. 2 different types. So there's routine anti-sickness meds to take with it. There's only 1 dose of the actual lamostine, and then there's 4 doses of the anti-sickness, which I take for the next couple of days. And then there's sort of emergency, if I feel sick I can take one, kind of the same way you would take paracetamol if you had a headache. So I take this one today with my evening meal. Nothing happens then till next Monday. Next Monday I go in the afternoon for the infusion, so that's the vincristine, and I'll also get another dose of lamostine, which I guess again I'll probably take home with me and take in the evening. They will also prescribe to me on that day 2 weeks worth of procarbazine, which again I think is tablets, but I think there's a lot of them. I think I take quite a high dose 3 times a day, so that might be 3 or 4 tablets, 3 or 4 times a day. I don't know. They haven't explained that. That will all be explained next week. That happens for 2 weeks. Then there's a small fallow period, and then on day 29, so today's day 1, go in next week on day 8, then 2 weeks worth of taking stuff at home, and then on day 29 I go in again for 1 more drip infusion, and that's then the end of the drug taking part of the cycle, and then we go through to 8 weeks, and that is cycle 1. At the end of that I'll have blood tests done, potentially a couple of other tests. They'll check that my platelets and platelets and my hemoglobin and my white cell counts are all good, and if they are, then we go again, and that is essentially rinse and repeat for the rest of this year now. So 6 cycles is the plan. So 6 cycles would take us all the way to, including the rest of the 8 weeks, would take us past New Year, but the drug taking part of the 6th cycle is kind of just before Christmas. So in theory, if I get that far, by Christmas and New Year, I'm kind of done, and then it will just be a case of being reviewed at the end of January next year, I think. I'm not really sure, to be honest, but we'll see how we go. So in terms of what I need to do whilst I'm on this, there's a couple of foods I need to avoid. Initially I thought there was something in them, in the foods, that was common, which is to be avoided because it conflicts with the drug. But speaking to the nurse today, it's basically just eat the same kind of way that a pregnant woman would eat. Don't eat any unpasteurized cheeses or dairy, no pate, meat has to be cooked well, so any steak has to be done well. What else was there? Oh yeah, don't chance any sell-by dates. If you're looking at a packet of something and you think Smells all right. That's no. Just if it's gone off, it's gone off. End of discussion. Just throw it out. Eat everything as fresh as possible. And the only exception to all of this is don't eat any shellfish. I think that is probably just a super cautious. Shellfish is renowned for being a bit dodgy, so don't bother. There were a few things that I had read, like smoked. Don't eat anything smoked, which actually it's not that you can't. So smoked bacon, for example, would be fine because you cook it, whereas smoked salmon is not because you don't. So it's all down to what's been cooked and what hasn't, and what's the likelihood of me getting a bacterial infection whilst I'm going through this process. Because whilst I'm doing this, I'm going to be immunocompromised and can't risk getting any infections or any problems. What else was there? The other thing as well is I've got to be really careful with things that may cause me to bleed, like through the natural course of your day. So I can't floss. I've got to brush my teeth with a soft. I say I can't floss like I floss. I don't floss. I'll be honest. Should, but I don't. I'm supposed to brush my teeth with a soft bristled toothbrush. And if at any point my gums start to bleed, I've got to phone that number on that card. They can prescribe a special mouthwash. Can't use commercial mouthwashes, they're too harsh, which I thought was quite interesting. But yeah, it's going to be, if I get a paper cut at any point and it doesn't heal quickly, I've got to phone the number, because that would suggest that my platelets are low. So for anyone who doesn't know, platelets in your blood are essentially what allows your blood to clot itself. So if the platelets are low, then it won't clot, it'll just bleed and bleed. So if I get a minor cut and it doesn't heal, I'm going to have to potentially go in for a blood transfusion. They can give me platelets, they can give me I don't know what they do for hemoglobin, but they can give me that. The thing that they can't fix, if that becomes a problem, is my white cells, which comes from your bone marrow, which my bone marrow is going to turn to dust potentially during this process. And so one of the things I can do to help that is maintain a healthy diet and stay active. Try and make it, get to the gym as often as I can without pushing myself too hard, and make sure that I'm not going to fall to bits. But yeah, that's kind of the update of where we're up to. So I'll be going to make this video as quick as I can, and then I've got to have some dinner so I can take this and try and get the video out before I potentially feel like crap. So if I do feel like crap, I will make a follow-up video to this to say how this goes. Might give, if I feel okay, I might give it a couple of days to see how I get into the week, and then go from there. But we'll see how I get on. It's going to be an interesting part of the treatment. The radio was relatively chill. Not there were a couple of bumps along the way, but this is likely to be much more aggressive. I'm kind of going in with the expectation that I'm going to feel like crap at some point. I've spoken to a few other people who've been going through this, and we actually know somebody, different type of cancer, who's been having chemo, and he was saying that some days he gets up ready to jump through a brick wall, and other days he wakes up and just can't get out of bed. So I'm kind of ready for that. Fingers crossed I most of the time feel good and can continue to help with parenting. But we are kind of ready for there being days when I just can't help, which is a bit of a bummer, but hey ho. What a note to end on, eh? Right, yeah, I'll leave it there and wish me luck. Thanks for watching.